You still got to have quality people in there who can handle it.
And you know what? If you had Vi, Sheehan, and Bissonette, maybe you would cover up some of them vocal issues. Because if you have a killer sick band like that, it takes a little of the pressure off.
It does. I think fans are more forgiving.
Oh, God, yeah. And not only that, but think about the excitement that would have caused. If those guys were going out, I mean, I don't even think they'd be opening for Kiss, to be honest with you. But I mean,
well, I don't know about that.
Well, they could do a tour of theaters.
A theater tour, they could do that.
Like the Paramount,
yes. Right. They could totally do that.
Totally,
yes.
and do a solid, bang up job on that. So anyway, we're moving on to this issue, and oh my God, holy shit, this is like the biggest thing to happen to the fucking Van Halen community in forever. So, but what a shit show this was. So anyway, do you call her Billie Eilish? Is it Eilish or is it Eilish? I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Billie Eilish. You
are asking the wrong guy.
So the pop star Billie Eilish was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Okay. Jimmy's like our age. He's probably like late 40s, early 50s maybe. So he was quizzing her about different things in pop culture, mainly music-oriented. He asked her, do you know who Madonna is? And she says, yes. Do you know who Cyndi Lauper is? And she says, yes. And he was going through basically the year 1984, right? So he says, can you name a Van Halen? And she said, who? And he says, I'm going to start crying, which is kind of funny because Jimmy's funny. Then he says, Run DM, and she couldn't even finish that. And then he's, do you know who Huey Lewis is? And she didn't know who Huey Lewis was. So she's obviously born after 9/11. She's like 17 years old, so she's young. That's fine. It doesn't even bother me that a 17-year-old wouldn't know who Van Halen is. That doesn't bother me. Because this big controversy came out. She doesn't know who Van Halen is and that. My problem is that she kind of like prides herself on knowing all this older rock music. Like she talks about it all the time and that her brother influenced her and all. So, that's the kind of like, well, if you're going to be like that, and you're also like in the music industry, I kind of think you might have heard of Van Halen. So the thing that bothered me about that whole thing with her was I think she was playing it up for the camera because she was doing this thing like she was trying to make Jimmy look like an old fuddy-duddy type of thing. I have a feeling she actually does know who Van Halen is. Now, I don't know if she's steeped in Van Halen material or songs, but she probably has some sort of inkling of who Van Halen is. Or that they're a rock band, or, they play Jump or something like that. Something real generic. She kind of played it off like she's, the hip, cool youngster. The weird part is she knows who Cyndi Lauper is, but she doesn't know who Van Halen is. I mean, Cyndi Lauper's even a little more obscure than Van Halen, I thought. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a little strange. I mean, she comes on screen, She's got this long black hair, and the top of her head looks like she got slimed at one of those Nickelodeon award shows. She's got like this green splotch on her head. Whatever, she dyes her hair, whatever, that's fine. So I think she was just trying to be kind of too cool, and she's sticking her tongue out and making the L sign like loser on her forehead. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. To me, she acted like a kid. Whatever, who cares? But then it became this thing, I guess because she's so popular, on Twitter, and it was Van Halen was trending all over the place on social media. Then when Jimmy Fallon had Elizabeth Warren on, the Democratic presidential candidate, he did a thing he calls curveball, where he asks her questions, and he says, do you know who Van Halen is? And Elizabeth Warren says, yes, but you don't have to. Let's ease up on Billie. Because Billie was getting a lot of hate online. I don't think she deserves any hate. I just thought she was kind of putting on an act a little bit. What did you think, Dave?
Well, I didn't actually see it on TV.
Oh, okay.
But this is all much ado about nothing.
I know. Nothing.
I mean, it's like a 17-year-old doesn't know who Van Halen is.
Who cares?
Like, this is supposed to surprise anybody?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, let me tell you something. I'm 49. and I didn't know who Billie Eilish was
Right.
until this thing blew up.
Right.
And apparently she's very popular,
huge,
and talented, right?
Yeah.
And all that jazz. And then when I read up on her, I'm like, oh, she's not some flash in the pan.
No,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, she can't be if she's showing up on a late night show with one of the Jimmys, right?
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, this goes back to what we were saying earlier in that this is the issue Van Halen has.
Right.
And this is what we complain about all the time.
Right.
There's nobody curating their legacy.
No one. It's
literally
bottoming out.
Right. I mean, if it had been AC/DC, I'm willing to bet Billy had probably heard of them.
Or Led Zeppelin, or Aerosmith, or,
Well, I'm just trying to think of like bands that were popular in the 80s.
Yeah.
In addition to the 70s.
Right.
But that's the problem, is that they don't do any of that at all. And Billy's just like the perfect example of teenagers now who have never heard of Van Halen.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's sad, but I mean, it is the way it is. I mean, the fact that Billy knew who Cyndi Lauper was, but didn't know who Van Halen was.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, why do you think that is? Because Cindy's still out there.
Yeah.
She's still touring.
Yeah.
She's still putting out music.
Right.
She's re-releasing her old music with anniversaries and stuff like that. She's doing it right.
Well,
so
she still wants to have fun.
Right. And who knows that better than Cyndi?
That's right. So this went on and on and on. I thought Elizabeth Warren was trying to be a little cute there. She's trying to be hip with the kids, whatever. So then Wolf gets involved. He tweets, if you haven't heard of Billie Eilish, go check her out. She's cool. If you haven't heard of Van Halen, go check them out. They're cool too. Music is supposed to bring us together, not divide us. Listen to what you want and don't shame others for not knowing what you like. Which is all fine. It's a very millennial response. So that's all cool, and I thought that was nice because he's not her age. He's a good probably 11 years or 12 years older than her, but I thought that was nice. That's fine. No problem. That's cool. Greg
Come on,
Renham,
give the guy some credit. It wasn't a snarky answer.
No, yeah, I agree. I give him credit. So then Greg Renoff, I don't know if you saw this, but Greg did a video and he put on, Greg Renoff is the author of Van Halen Rising. He did a little thing on social media where he was thanking Billie Eilish for bringing attention to Van Halen so that Eddie Van Halen won't have to go unrecognized at concerts anymore. Which I thought was funny. Then, of course, the big kahuna comes in here. Dave starts commenting on it. And he says, Dear Billie Eilish, yes, Van Halen was before you. So was Tchaikovsky, Mark Twain, and the Beatles. Oh, so much for West Side Story. When you're a jet, ... smiley face. I think that what he meant was, I'm just reading into this with Dave, meaning like, yeah, of course Van Halen was before you, and that's all cool, but it's historic enough that maybe you should know about it, meaning like Mark Twain, the Beatles, Tchaikovsky. But he said, oh, so much for West Side Story. When you're a jet all the way. Meaning like, if you're going to be, I think he meant, if you're going to be in this business and be a singer and you're going to be selling out arenas and putting out albums, maybe you should kind of know this stuff. I mean, did you get that from him?
Well, yeah, I wasn't quite sure about the West Side Story reference, but when you put it that way, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought, which I thought was kind of a cool and clever way to address that. Now, Edward Van Halen, according to TMZ, was admitted to a California hospital for intestinal issues. This was towards the end of November. And he had some abdominal pain, apparently, as a reaction to the drugs he was taking to battle his alleged throat cancer. So apparently he's okay, and he went back to rehearsing with Wolfie. That is literally what the report said from TMZ, which makes me curious, Dave. What the hell do you make of that?
The fact he went back to 5150 or wherever he did it and went to play with Wolfie, that doesn't shock me at all. Because he's probably doing that every day anyway.
I know.
He's probably just tooling around on the guitar, and they went back and they jammed.
Yeah,
it's like, right? I mean, it's like whoop-de-doo.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I'm just glad he's ultimately okay.
Yeah.
I just want to see the guy play.
Yeah,
really.
It's true. Now, Wolf tweeted, this was another little controversial thing. So Wolf, just to be a wise guy, tweeted a photo of a white van parked kind of in a pile of dirt with 10 people bowing and praying to it. And he put the tagline, I'm going to tell my kids this was Van Halen. Meaning like, you know, it's a van and, you know, whatever. And everybody's praying to it. So people went nuts on social media and they started getting a little critical of him and calling him a brat and all this. It was just ridiculous. I mean, the guy's just making a quick little joke. To my point, the Van Halen fans are really starting to get angry. I've run into a couple of our listeners, believe it or not, at different shows, and they're just disgusted. They really are. They're very upset. I'm sensing an undercurrent of real frustration going on to the point where they're being, angry toward the band. What do you make of this, Dave?
You're just sensing that now?
Well, no, I'm just sensing it's getting sharper. It's just getting, they are really kind of fed up. And it's not just, look, Eddie's got health issues. He's got health issues now. Everybody understands that. But the lack of communication, the secretiveness, no one knows what the hell ever happened with Dave. And, Dave's, little secretive comments. This is the band going forward. I'm the de facto leader of the band that no longer exists. I mean, it's all very hodgepodge.
Well, I think people are disappointed that there was no tour this year. Uh-huh. There's not going to be a tour next year, right. At least with Dave.
Right.
We all had it in our heads this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And now apparently it's not going to happen. But we still don't know because there's still no official news out there or anything.
Right.
And when you're not getting anything, people start making up stuff.
Yeah.
And it just frustrates people to no end.
Right.
And I say, it's just a band.
Yeah.
It's my favorite band, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I know.
But don't let it eat you up. It's, there's other things. And then other days I just get angry for no good reason at the band because I just want to see them play and put out some music for crying out loud.
I know, especially when there's stuff sitting on the shelf. Also, speaking of Wolf did a guest spot where he played drums and some bass on Clint Lowry's God Bless the Renegades album, which is coming out January 31st in 2020. It's a solo album from the Seven Dust guitarist, and I think it was produced by Elvis Biscuit, who is the producer of Wolfgang's secretive solo album that has yet to come out. Wolf is on that album, and so it's going to be something coming out with Wolfie on it on the 31st of January. So what do you make of that?
That's cool. It's good to see him doing something else.
Yeah, he's doing something. That's for sure.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
So now Sam is getting bored. So what is he doing? It's Christmas time, and he's doing this online social media contest called Sammy Mas. And so he launched this social media contest where he based on the 12 days of Christmas. So on the first day of Sammy Mas, the Red Rocker gave to me, and he wants people to fill out the rest. And every day there's a winner, and he gives away a prize. So the first guy who did it said, on the first day of Sammy Mas, the Red Rocker gave to me a big shot of Mesquila to set my spirit free. That was the winner of that day. And
I like that.
You like that, huh? On the second day of Sammy Mas, the Red Rocker gave to me 2 tickets to Paradise in memory of Eddie Money. Or I should say Eddie Money. Hey, did someone say Eddie Money? What the hell's going on here? Hey, Sammy's taking my name. Next thing he'll do is start singing my songs. Dave, are you still fucking my wife?
Let me know when you're done.
I want you to know that you'll get a kick out of this. I was thinking about you last night. I'm watching a Netflix TV show with my wife, and it was the Kaminsky Method, I think it's called. It's with Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin. So they're in Vegas, and they're at a bar. And, in Vegas, there's a lot of, tribute bands, right? So there's this guy at a bar, and he's singing, and he's calling himself Freddie Money and the Spare Change. So that you're going to get a kick out of this because of what you do for a living. So he's sitting at the bar, and Michael Douglas is like, geez, that guy's pretty good. He goes, he sounds exactly like Eddie Money. 2 minutes later, he goes to the bathroom and comes back, and Alan Arkin's sitting at the bar with Eddie Money, the real Eddie Money, which was sad because he's passed on now. But then he goes, wait a minute, you are Eddie Money. And he goes, shh, lower your voice. And he goes, what the hell are you doing calling yourself a tribute act? And he goes, Eddie Money's got a lot of tax problems, but not Freddie Money. So he was making money as Freddie Money in the Spare Change as a tribute act because of his tax issues as Eddie Money.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his kid's hysterical. So Sammy was giving away signed copies of his Record Store Day Christmas release. So listen to this, Dave. You'll get a kick out of this. Of